You ever wake up in the morning and feel like you can't move? Like the weight of the world is pressing down on you? Not your legs, not your arms, your spirit. That's burnout. That's the silent enemy that kills dreams before they even start. I've been there. Don't think for a second that I was some machine that never felt tired, never felt broken. I've had mornings where I wanted to stay in bed, mornings where the last thing I wanted to see was another basketball, mornings where I thought, what's the point? But here's the truth, champions don't rise because they never feel burnout. Champions rise because they choose to fight through it. The secret to getting up in the morning when you're burned out is this. You don't wait for motivation. Motivation is a liar. Motivation is a fair weather friend. When you're burned out, motivation doesn't show up. Discipline does. When my body screamed, when my mind whispered, stay down, you've earned it, I had to answer back with one thing. Get up anyway. Not because I felt like it, not because it was easy, but because that's the only way forward. You think I won championships because I loved every workout? You think I broke records because I woke up every day excited? No, I won because I got up on the days I didn't want to. I worked when I felt empty. I pushed when I felt finished. That's what separated me from everyone else. Here's the mindset. When you're burned out, you stop asking yourself, do I feel like it? That question doesn't matter anymore. The only question that matters is, am I willing to pay the price today? Sometimes the price is small, one step out of bed, one glass of water, one rep in the gym. And sometimes the price is huge, pushing through hours of pain, carrying yourself when your energy is gone. But whether the price is small or big, you pay it. And slowly, step by step, you build momentum. You rise out of burnout, not with one giant leap, but with 1,000 tiny wins. Getting up when you don't want to, showing up when you don't feel like it, stacking discipline on discipline until the fire comes back. Because here's the truth, the fire will come back. Burnout is not the end, it's just a test. The question is, will you stay down or will you rise? That's how champions handle burnout. They don't wait for the spark, they create it. And it all begins with one decision every morning, get up anyway. When you're burned out, the mornings hit the hardest. The alarm clock feels heavier than a barbell. The sunlight through the window doesn't inspire you, it mocks you. Your body feels like lead, your mind feels empty, and every part of you screams, stay down. I know that feeling, I've lived it. People look at me and think I woke up every day hungry, every day fired up. That's a myth. I had days where I hated the game. I had days where I hated myself. Days when the thought of practice made me sick. But here's the thing, champions don't run from that feeling. They confront it. They take it head on. When I was burned out, I didn't tell myself it's okay, just rest forever. I told myself, get up, one step, one movement, just get up. Because momentum is the medicine for burnout. You can't think your way out of exhaustion. You can't reason your way out of emptiness. You have to move your way out. Action first, feelings later. That's a trick I learned. Don't chase the feeling, chase the action. Because when you act, the feelings follow. You don't wait until you feel like moving. You move until you feel alive again. I remember dragging myself into the gym on mornings when I felt dead inside. First shot brick, second shot airball, third shot off the rim. And I thought, why am I even here? But then I kept shooting. 10 shots, 20-50. Sweat started dripping. Muscles started waking up. And somewhere between the 100th and 1,000th shot, the fire came back. Not because I waited for it, because I created it. That's what burnout teaches you. Discipline is greater than motivation. Obsession is greater than comfort. The body will lie to you. The mind will betray you. But action tells the truth. You don't need to conquer the whole day when you're burned out. You just need to conquer the morning. You just need to win the first battle. Get out of bed, put your feet on the floor, and move. That one small victory sets the tone. That one act of defiance against your exhaustion builds the momentum you need. Burnout whispers, you're done. Champions answer, not today. And here's the beauty, every time you rise when you don't want to, you're building something stronger than skill, stronger than talent. You're building will, and willpower, once trained, will carry you further than anything else. So when burnout knocks on your door in the morning, don't negotiate, don't make excuses, don't wait for inspiration. Stand up, move forward, create the spark. Because champions aren't the ones who never get tired. Champions are the ones who rise tired and still move anyway. Burnout isn't just about being tired, it's about being empty. It's when the game you once loved feels like a weight chained to your chest. It's when the passion that used to drive you turns into pressure that drowns you. I've felt that emptiness after losses, after criticism, after years of carrying the weight of expectation. People thought I lived for the spotlight, but what they don't know is how heavy it felt sometimes, how many mornings I didn't want to face it. But here's the lesson I learned. You don't wait for passion to rescue you. You fight your way back to it. And the way you fight is simple. You return to the basics. Strip it all down. Don't think about trophies. Don't think about rings. Don't think about pleasing the crowd. Think about one thing. Why did you start? For me, it was the sound of the ball hitting the hardwood, the rhythm of the net snapping after a clean shot, that childlike joy of playing the game. When burnout came, I forced myself to remember that feeling. I reminded myself, this is who you are, this is what you love. And maybe for you, it's not basketball, maybe it's writing, maybe it's running, maybe it's building something with your hands. Whatever it is, go back to the root, back to the beginning, back to the purest part of it. Burnout tries to blind you with exhaustion, but the secret to beating it is clarity. Clarity about your why, clarity about your purpose. I can't count how many mornings I asked myself, why am I doing this? And every time the answer was the same, because this is what I was born to do, because this is who I am. That answer pulled me out of bed when nothing else could. You see, burnout tricks you into thinking it's the end, but in reality, it's a test. It's the universe asking, how bad do you want this? How deep is your love for this? How far are you willing to go? Most people quit at that point. They let burnout define them. But champions use burnout as fuel. They use the emptiness to rebuild themselves stronger, sharper, hungrier. Every morning you rise against burnout. You're proving something, not to the world, but to yourself. You're proving you're bigger than your feelings. You're proving your purpose is stronger than your pain. So when the alarm goes off and your body says no, when your spirit feels heavy and your fire feels gone, I want you to remember this: burnout is not a signal to stop. It's a signal to dig deeper. And if you're willing to answer that call, you won't just get up. You'll rise higher than you ever have before. You know what burnout really does? It exposes you. It shows you whether you've been relying on feelings or if you've built yourself on discipline. Because anybody can get up when they're excited. Anybody can work when they're inspired. But when you're empty, when the tank is dry, when the fire is gone, that's when you see who's real. I had teammates who shined when the cameras were on, when the energy was high, when the game was fun. But when we were down by 20, when the season got long, when the body was bruised and the spirit was heavy, they disappeared. That's not championship DNA, that's comfort DNA. Me, I refused to disappear. I refused to let burnout dictate my life. And the way I did it was simple. I broke the morning down into battles I could win. First battle, get out of bed. Doesn't matter how I felt, doesn't matter what excuse my mind made. I stood up. Second battle, show up. Step into the gym, step onto the court, step into the place where the work gets done. Third battle, do one thing, one drill, one shot, one rep, just enough to move forward. And you know what happens when you win those battles? Momentum takes over. One win stacks on another. Suddenly the day isn't impossible anymore. Suddenly you're moving, sweating, building, becoming again. Burnout wants you to think you're powerless. But the truth is, you've never been more powerful. Because when you rise against burnout, you're training the strongest muscle you've got, your will. And here's something people don't understand. Willpower is not something you're born with. It's something you build. Every morning you fight through exhaustion. Every time you silence excuses, every time you rise when you don't want to, you're forging willpower like steel. And once it's forged, nothing can break it. That's why burnout is not your enemy, it's your opportunity. It's the fire that tempers your steel. It's the storm that proves your foundation. Most people run from burnout. They hide, they quit, but champions don't run. They rise. They rise tired, they rise empty, they rise broken, but they rise, and every time they do, they become unshakable. So the next time you wake up heavy, the next time the bed feels like chains, the next time your spirit says stay down, remember this: you don't have to feel ready. You just have to move. You just have to win the first battle. Because when you rise in burnout, you don't just beat the day, you beat yourself, you beat the weaker version of you, and that's how champions are born. Listen to me. Burnout is not the end. It feels like the end, it whispers like the end, but it's not. It's the beginning of a different level of you. You want to know how to rise when you're burned out? Stop chasing perfection. Stop waiting to feel amazing. Stop expecting the fire to burn every morning. That's fantasy. Champions don't live in fantasy, they live in reality. And reality says this: some mornings you'll hate the work, some mornings you'll hate yourself, some mornings you'll feel empty, but you rise anyway. That's the secret, rise anyway. When I look back at my career, the moments that defined me weren't the slam dunks, weren't the game winners, weren't the parades. The moments that defined me were the mornings I rose when nobody saw. The mornings when my body begged for rest, but I chose discipline. The mornings when the fire was gone, but I chose obsession. And every single one of those mornings built me into a man who could stand in the spotlight and deliver. The world only saw the glory because I lived through the grind. So if you're burned out right now, if you're staring at the ceiling wondering how you're going to face another day, I'm talking directly to you. Don't quit. Don't give in. Don't let that feeling own you. Stand up, put your feet on the ground, win the first battle. Because here's the truth, you don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be limitless. You don't need to be superhuman. You just need to keep rising. Again and again and again. Champions are not made of endless energy. They're made of relentless will. They're made of mornings where they rose broken but rose anyway. And if you can do that, if you can rise when you're burned out, if you can push when you're empty, if you can choose discipline over comfort, even when it hurts, you will not just survive burnout. You will transform through it. Burnout is not the enemy. Burnout is the forge. It's the fire that strips away weakness and leaves only strength. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm hits, when the weight feels unbearable, I want you to remember my words: champions rise anyway. And if you rise enough times, if you refuse to quit, if you keep fighting through every heavy morning, you won't just come back. You'll come back stronger. You'll come back unshakable. You'll come back a champion. Everybody wants to know the secret. They look at the trophies, the rings, the highlights, and they ask, Michael, what's the formula? What's the magic trick? What's the shortcut to greatness? Let me tell you something straight. There is no magic trick. There is no shortcut. There is no elevator to the top. Success is not about luck. It's not about talent alone. It's not even about being the smartest or the fastest. The real secret is work. It's obsession. It's sacrifice. It's discipline when nobody's watching. It's losing, failing, hurting, and getting back up every single time. You see, people remember the shots I made. They play the highlights of the game winners, the dunks, the championships, but they don't show you the thousands of shots I missed in practice. They don't show you the mornings when I dragged myself to the gym while the world was still asleep. They don't show you the pain, the blood, the sweat that went into becoming the man you saw on that court. Success isn't built on one moment. It's built on millions of invisible ones. The ones you think don't matter, the ones nobody claps for, the ones nobody ever sees. But those are the ones that make you. When I was cut from my high school team, people thought that was the end of my story, but it was just the beginning. That failure became my fuel. That rejection lit a fire in me so hot it burned for decades. Because here's the truth, failure is not the opposite of success, it's the foundation of it. The secret of success is learning to take every no, every loss, every setback and turn it into fuel. It's looking at the pain and saying thank you. It's letting your failures teach you more than victory ever could. But most people don't want to hear that. They want the easy version. They want the hack. They want the smooth road. And when they don't find it, they quit. Champions don't quit. Champions don't wait for the easy road. Champions build the road themselves, one step, one rep, one day at a time. So if you came here looking for the secret to success, I'll give it to you. But you might not like it because the secret is not glamorous. It's not easy. It's not quick. The secret is this: success belongs to those who are willing to suffer for it. And the question is, are you? You know, what people don't understand about greatness, they think it's about winning. They think it's about talent. But I'll tell you the truth, my greatest teacher wasn't victory, it was failure. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I was trusted to take the game-winning shot and miss. Those numbers don't define me as a loser. They define me as a fighter. because every single miss, every loss, every disappointment, it carved me into who I became. When you fail, most people hide, they complain, they point fingers, they say it wasn't my fault. But champions face it. Champions take the hit, look in the mirror and say, it's on me, and I'll come back stronger. That's the secret. Most people run from pain. Pain is uncomfortable, pain is lonely, but pain is the sharpest tool you'll ever have. It cuts away your excuses, it shapes your character. It shows you exactly how much you're willing to sacrifice for your dream. When I was a rookie in the NBA, I wasn't the strongest, I wasn't the most experienced. I had weaknesses, and I knew that every weakness would be exposed on the court. So what did I do? I didn't cry about it. I didn't blame it on coaches or teammates or circumstances. I went to work. I lived in the gym. I trained my body, my mind, my game until those weaknesses turned into weapons. That's the mindset you need. Stop running from your flaws. Stop hiding from your scars. They are not your curse, they are your fuel. You want to know the real difference between the good and the great? The good want to feel good. The great want to get better. Even if it hurts, especially when it hurts. Every champion you've ever admired, every legend, every icon, they all had one thing in common. They suffered more than anyone else. They carried more weight, they worked more hours, they endured more failure, and yet they refused to quit. That's what separates legends from the rest. So if you want success, stop asking for comfort, stop asking for the easy way, start asking for the struggle. Because that struggle, that pain, that's where greatness lives. Remember this, the court doesn't lie. Life doesn't lie. You can't cheat the work. You can't fake the grind. You either put in the hours or you don't. You either pay the price or you stay the same. And the price of success, it's paid in failure, in sacrifice, in pain. That's the bill every champion has to pay. The only question is, are you willing to pay it? Everybody thinks success is about talent. They say, Michael, you were born gifted, you were born with natural ability. Let me tell you something, talent will get you noticed, but discipline will make you great. Talent is a spark, discipline is the fire. Without discipline, talent dies. Without discipline, your gift fades. Discipline is what gets you out of bed when you don't feel like it. Discipline is what makes you put up 1,000 shots when you're tired, when you're sore, when the lights are off and nobody is watching. Do you know how many times I wanted to stay in bed? Do you know how many mornings I didn't feel like training? Countless. But I got up anyway, because success doesn't care how you feel. Success doesn't care if you're tired or stressed or comfortable. Success only cares about what you're willing to do, day after day, year after year. That's the secret. Nobody wants obsession, the willingness to lock in on a goal so intensely that everything else becomes background noise. Parties, distractions, comfort, none of it mattered to me. I had one vision to be the best, and I let that vision control me. I let it push me, drive me, consume me. People call it crazy, they call it unhealthy, but you know what? Mediocrity always calls obsession crazy. Average people will always tell you to slow down, to relax, to take it easy, but if you listen to them, you'll end up like them, average, forgotten, invisible. Champions are different. Champions use obsession as fuel. Champions take discipline and turn it into a lifestyle. Champions understand that greatness is not something you achieve once, it's something you repeat every single day. That's why I never relied on motivation. Motivation fades. Motivation is a feeling, but discipline is a choice. You don't need to feel good to be disciplined. You don't need applause to be disciplined. You don't need anyone's approval to be disciplined. You just do the work over and over and over again. Think about it. Everybody wants to be a champion, but not everybody wants to live like one. They want the glory, but not the grind. They want the rings, but not the reps. That's the difference. That's the secret. So let me ask you, what are you willing to sacrifice? How much are you willing to hurt? How far are you willing to go when nobody's clapping, when nobody's watching, when nobody believes in you? Because at the end of the day, success doesn't belong to the talented. It belongs to the disciplined. People think the secret of success is some hidden formula, a mystery that only a few can unlock. But here's the truth. The secret has been in front of you the whole time. It's simple, but it's not easy. The secret is this: you fall, you rise. You fail, you learn. You get knocked down, you stand up stronger. That's it. That's the formula. That's the path. Every time life hit me, I had a choice. Stay down or get up. Listen to the critics or silence them with action. Feel sorry for myself or fuel myself with the pain. And every single time, I chose to rise. Do you know why most people never succeed? It's not because they don't have talent. It's not because they don't have opportunities. It's because when they get knocked down, they stay down. They let life define them. They let failure become final. But failure is never final unless you quit. That's the secret. When I missed those game-winning shots, I didn't hide. I didn't let the fear of missing again stop me. I kept shooting, I kept believing, I kept putting myself in the position to win. That's why I succeeded. Not because I never failed, but because I never stopped trying. See, champions aren't defined by their victories. They're defined by their resilience, the ability to come back again and again and again. That's the heartbeat of success. And here's something else. Champions don't blame. They don't point fingers at teammates, coaches, or circumstances. Champions own everything, the wins, the losses, the mistakes. Because when you take responsibility, you take control. And when you take control, nothing can stop you. I learned early that nobody was going to hand me greatness. Nobody was going to feel sorry for me. If I wanted it, I had to take it. I had to outwork, outlast, outfight anyone who stood in my way. That's the mindset you need. Don't wait for the world to give you permission. Don't wait for the perfect conditions. Don't wait for someone to believe in you. Believe in yourself. Trust your work. Trust your grind. The secret to success is not waiting, it's creating. It's building yourself into the kind of person who refuses to lose, who refuses to quit, who refuses to stay down. Remember this, success doesn't care about your excuses. Success doesn't care about your feelings. Success only cares about one thing. Did you rise or did you stay down? That's the secret. Rise every time, no matter what. So here we are. You came looking for the secret, and I've given it to you. But let me be clear, knowing the secret is not enough. You have to live it. You have to breathe it. You have to bleed for it. Because success is not a destination, it's a lifestyle. It's not a trophy, it's a mindset. It's not about what you did once. It's about what you do every single day. When I stepped onto that court, I didn't play for applause. I didn't play for headlines. I didn't even play for the rings. I played because I had a fire inside me that demanded I give everything. That's the real secret. You don't chase greatness, you live it. And greatness doesn't come with shortcuts. It comes with scars. It comes with nights when you can't sleep because your body aches from the work you've done. It comes with days when your mind tells you to quit and you refuse to listen. Every champion, every legend you admire, they all carry the same truth. The secret to success is consistency. Showing up when it's hard, showing up when it's boring, showing up when nobody's watching. Success belongs to the ones who refuse to disappear. So let me ask you, what are you going to do with this secret? Will you let it inspire you for a moment and then fade? Or will you take it, own it, and build a life around it? Because the world doesn't need more talkers. It doesn't need more dreamers. It needs doers, it needs fighters. It needs people who wake up every morning ready to rise, ready to grind, ready to push past their limits. The secret to success is simple. Stop waiting. Stop complaining. Stop looking for easy answers. Get up, go to work, stay disciplined, use your failures as fuel, rise every time you fall, and never, never quit. If you do that, you won't just succeed, you'll become unstoppable. You won't just chase greatness, you'll embody it. You won't just dream, you'll live it. The secret to success is not out there somewhere. It's not hidden in a book, a course, or a motivational video. The secret is already inside you. It's been there the whole time. The only question is, are you ready to unleash it? Look me in the eye. I want you to listen carefully because I'm not here to whisper sweet words. I'm here to tell you the truth, raw and unfiltered. All my life, people doubted me. They told me I wasn't good enough. They told me I'd never make it. When I was cut from a high school team, people smirked and said, see, he's not that special. When I missed shots, when I lost games, when I failed in front of the world, they laughed, they pointed, they called me overrated. You know what I told them inside my mind? To hell with you. Because here's the reality. Those voices, those critics, those haters, they don't know who you are. They don't know what you've got inside. They don't see the fire that burns when nobody is watching. All they see is the moment you fall, and they celebrate. Like that defines you. But let me tell you something, it doesn't define you unless you let it. People love to predict your failure. It makes them feel safe. Because if you fail, they don't have to face their own fear of trying. If you fall, they don't have to risk falling themselves. They want you to stay small, to stay quiet, to stay in the box they put you in. But you don't owe them anything. Not your silence, not your obedience, not your belief in their words. Every time someone told me I couldn't do it, I used it. Every insult, every doubt, every sneer, it became fuel. When they said you're not clutch, I stayed in the gym until I was the guy you trusted with the last shot. When they said you're done, I came back stronger. When they said you can't, I made sure to prove that I could, not for them, but for me. See, here's the truth. You don't silence the doubters by arguing. You silence them by winning. You silence them by rising. You silence them by refusing to quit when they would have walked away. So the next time someone tells you you're not enough, don't waste your breath explaining yourself. Don't beg them to believe. Just look them dead in the eye, if only in your mind, and say, to hell with you, watch me. Because their doubt is not your destiny. Their laughter is not your limit. Their words only have power if you hand it to them. I didn't hand it over. I turned their doubt into domination. I turned their criticism into championships. I turned their laughter into legacy. And so can you. You know, it's funny, the loudest critics are always the ones who've never done anything themselves. The people in the cheap seats are the ones screaming the loudest. They've never taken the shot, never carried the pressure, never put everything on the line, and yet they act like experts on your life. I learned early you can't live for them, you can't chase their approval, because the moment you start caring about their opinion, you've already lost. When I was on the court, I didn't play to prove them right or wrong. I played because I loved the game. I played because I refused to waste my potential. I played because deep down I knew who I was, even when the world doubted me. And that's the key. You can't let outside voices define your inside voice. You have to decide, who do you believe more, the critics or yourself? Most people hand over their power. Someone calls them a loser and suddenly they believe it. Someone laughs at their dream and suddenly they give it up. That's weakness. That's surrender. That's giving your life away to people who never cared about you in the first place. I never gave mine away. When the media said Jordan can't win without a team, I didn't fold. I built chemistry. I pushed my teammates. I worked harder. When they said he's not built for greatness, I let my game speak louder than their headlines. When they tried to put limits on me, I erased them. Not with words, with work. And let me tell you something. The sweetest revenge is not arguing back. The sweetest revenge is standing on top of the mountain while they choke on their words. The sweetest revenge is holding the trophy while they're still sitting in the stands, doubting the next man. So when I say to hell with them, I don't mean anger, I mean focus. I mean tuning them out so completely that their noise becomes fuel, not a chain. Let them doubt, let them laugh, let them predict your failure. It's not your job to change their mind. It's your job to prove yourself right. That's what greatness is. Not living up to their expectations, but surpassing your own. Not silencing their voices, but amplifying yours. So remember this, critics will always exist, haters will always talk, doubters will always doubt. But champions rise anyway. Champions use the noise as motivation. Champions look the world in the eye and say, you will not break me. That's the attitude that built me. That's the mindset that carried me through. That's the fire you need to carry with you. To hell with them. To hell with their words. To hell with their doubt. Your life is too valuable to live on someone else's opinion. Do you know what people hate the most? They hate when you refuse to stay in the place they put you. They hate when you outgrow the box they built for you. When I was young, they labeled me not tall enough, not strong enough, not ready. And when I started winning, they found new labels, too selfish, too flashy, too lucky. And when I kept winning, they said he had it easy. He was given everything. You see the pattern? No matter what you do, they'll find a reason to tear you down. If you lose, you're a failure. If you win, you're arrogant. If you work hard, they say it's obsession. If you relax, they say you're lazy. There is no winning with them. So stop trying to win them. That's why I say to hell with them. Because their words were never the truth. Their opinions were never the definition of who I am. They were just noise, And noise only matters if you let it drown you. I didn't. I let it sharpen me. When someone said I wasn't clutch, I craved the ball in the last seconds of the game. When someone said I couldn't carry a team, I carried them through wars. When someone said I couldn't come back, I returned stronger than before. You know why? Because I understood something most people don't. Doubt is free energy. Every insult, every laugh, every headline, it's a spark. And I turned those sparks into fire. So if you're sitting there with people doubting you, with voices telling you you're not enough, remember this: their doubt doesn't predict your future, it reveals theirs. It shows how small their vision is. It shows how little they believe in themselves. And they want you to shrink down to their level so they feel safe. Don't give them that comfort. Make them uncomfortable. Rise so high they can't ignore you. Work so hard they choke on their own words. Win so big their hate becomes applause. And here's the thing: they might never admit they were wrong. They might go to their grave still saying you couldn't do it. But it won't matter, because you'll know you proved yourself right. You'll know you rose above the noise. You'll know that while they wasted energy tearing others down, you spent energy building yourself up. That's the ultimate victory. Not the trophies, not the headlines, not the applause, but the knowledge that you never let their doubt define your destiny. So the next time someone tries to put you in a box, the next time someone laughs at your dream, the next time someone calls you a loser, don't fight back with words, fight back with work, fight back with results, fight back with greatness. And when you do, just remember the phrase that carried me through every insult, every headline, every doubt: to hell with them. There's a moment in every dreamer's life when the world tries to break you. They test you with failure, they surround you with doubt, and they whisper in your ear, "See, we told you you're not good enough." I know that moment. I've lived it. When I missed, when I lost, when I fell short, those voices were the loudest. They didn't just celebrate my pain, they fed on it. They wanted me to believe it was permanent. They wanted me to stay down. But I refused, because here's the truth: falling is part of the process. Doubt is part of the journey. Critics are part of the price you pay for chasing something bigger than yourself. If nobody doubts you, you're not dreaming big enough. If nobody laughs at you, you're not aiming high enough. So when the world laughed, I tightened my laces. When they doubted, I doubled my hours in the gym. When they whispered that I was done, I turned their whispers into my soundtrack. And I want you to understand this: your response matters more than their opinion. Their words don't define you, but your reaction does. You can believe them and quit, or you can rise up and prove them wrong. That's your choice. I chose fire. I chose obsession. I chose to turn every ounce of their hate into weight on the bar, resistance in the gym, motivation on the court. And every time I broke through, every time I rose higher, it wasn't just a win, it was a message: to hell with them. See, when people call you a loser, they're really saying something about themselves. They're revealing their fear, their insecurity, their unwillingness to try, because losers don't chase dreams, they tear down the people who do. And that's why you can't waste your energy hating them back. Hate is heavy, it slows you down. Don't carry it. Carry discipline, carry focus, carry belief in yourself. Let them keep their hate. It's all they'll ever have. You have more, you have work, you have vision, you have the chance to build something they can only watch from the outside. So the next time someone tells you you're not enough, remember this: they're wrong. Not because I said so, but because you have the power to prove it. And you don't need their permission, you don't need their belief, you don't need their applause. All you need is the fire inside you, the one they tried to kill. Protect it, feed it, use it. And when the day comes where you stand on the mountaintop, when the world sees what you built, when the critics are forced to watch you shine, don't even waste your breath on them. Just smile, keep walking, and let your success speak the words for you: to hell with them. You know what the sweetest sound in the world is? Silence. The silence of the critics when you prove them wrong. The silence of the doubters when they can't deny you anymore. That's the sound of victory. But here's the catch: it doesn't come easy. It doesn't come overnight. You have to drag yourself through hell before you get to hear it. And on that road, those voices will scream louder than ever: "You can't, you won't, you're wasting your time." I heard it all. I still hear it. Don't think for a second that because I became Michael Jordan, the doubt disappeared. It just changed faces. It went from kids on the playground to coaches to journalists to the entire world watching every move I made. At every level, there was a new crowd ready to call me finished. And every time I said the same thing, to hell with them. Because here's what I learned. The more they talk, the more I know I'm onto something. Nobody wastes their breath on someone who doesn't matter. Their hate, that's proof you're in the arena. Proof you're taking risks they're too scared to take. Proof you're alive in a way they can't understand. So instead of fighting their words, I fed on them. Their doubt became calories. Their hate became fuel. Their laughter became echoes in my gym, bouncing off the walls as I took another shot, ran another drill, stayed for another hour. And each rep whispered back to me, you're not done. Keep going. And listen, don't get it twisted. Success isn't about shutting people up. Success is about proving yourself right, about looking in the mirror and saying, I didn't quit, I didn't bend, I didn't let them decide who I was going to be. Because if you live for their approval, you'll die from their rejection. And I promise you, their approval is worth nothing. It's paper thin. It blows away with the first mistake. You don't need it. What you need is your own approval, your own belief, your own voice saying, I can, I will, watch me. And when you live like that, when you work like that, something powerful happens. You stop hearing them, not because they stop talking, but because their noise doesn't reach you anymore. You're too busy building, too focused on climbing, too locked in on your vision. That's when the silence comes. The silence of the critics, not because they've changed their minds, but because they don't matter anymore. And the only sound left is your footsteps, carrying you toward the life they said you'd never touch. So remember this, don't argue with them. Don't explain yourself. Don't waste your fire trying to convince the blind to see. Just keep moving, keep building, keep proving, and let your work be the loudest voice in the room. And when it's all said and done, look back only once, smile, and whisper the truth they always feared, to hell with them. Let me tell you something, people will always underestimate you, always. Even when you think you've proven yourself, even when you've already climbed the mountain, someone out there will still say, he just got lucky, he'll fall. He's not built for this. Good, let them. Because those words, they're not your burden, they're their prison. That negativity, that bitterness, it doesn't belong to you, it belongs to the ones too scared to chase their own dreams. See, here's the truth. People project their own limits onto you. When they say you can't, what they really mean is they can't. When they say you'll never make it, what they really mean is they never made it. And if you let their fears become your fears, you're done. You've already lost before the game even started. So what do? You reject it, you throw it back, you walk into that arena, into that gym, into that boardroom, and you carry yourself with a simple attitude, to hell with them. I remember the nights before big games, reporters saying I was too tired, too old, too human, fans worried I couldn't carry the team one more time, opponents praying I'd break, and inside I felt that fire burn hotter, not because I needed to prove them wrong, but because I needed to prove myself right. That's the secret. It's not about them, it's about you. They may doubt, but do you? They may quit, but will you? They may talk, but will you act? That's the line that separates the champions from the spectators. And don't mistake me, this isn't about anger. It's not about hating them back. Hate wastes energy. This is about focus, about clarity, about knowing what voice to listen to, theirs or yours. Because deep down, you know the truth. You know what you're capable of. You've seen flashes of it, the moments where everything clicks, where you push past the wall, where you surprise even yourself. That's not luck, that's you. That's who you are when you stop letting the world define you. So next time they laugh at your dream, let them laugh. Next time they say you're not good enough, nod your head and walk away. Next time they bet against you, smile and place your own bet on yourself. Because when the lights come on, when the pressure rises, when the moment arrives, they won't be on that court with you. They won't take that shot. They won't live with your results. You will. So own it. Every second, every failure, every victory, make it yours. And when you do, when you finally stand on top and look back, you'll realize something. It was never about shutting them up. It was about rising above, about becoming undeniable, about living so fully, so relentlessly that their words can't even reach you anymore. And in that moment, with the world behind you and the future ahead, you'll breathe deep, smile wide, and say the only thing left to say, to hell with them. There's something you need to understand. Everybody wants to see the champion fall. When you're climbing, they cheer for you. When you're unknown, they root for the underdog. But once you're on top, once you've tasted greatness, that's when the target lands on your back. They start circling, waiting, watching, hoping for one misstep, one mistake, one bad game. They don't want to admit it, but deep down they're praying for you to fail because your success shines a light on their excuses. Your victories remind them of everything they didn't do, and it's easier for them to drag you down than to rise up themselves. And that's why you have to be ruthless with your focus. You can't live for applause. You can't live for headlines. You can't live for their approval, because the same people who clap for you today will boo you tomorrow. The same crowd chanting your name will switch sides the moment you stumble. So stop giving them that power. Stop caring what they think. When I missed shots, when I lost games, when I failed on the biggest stage, I didn't look at them for validation. I looked inside. I asked myself, did you give everything? Did you leave it all out there? Did you show up with heart, with fire, with no excuses? If the answer was yes, then I could walk away with my head high, even in defeat. And let me tell you, I was defeated plenty. I missed, I choked, I failed, I bled. And every single time, those voices got louder. He's done. But here's the beauty. Every failure was a chance to get stronger. Every loss was fuel. Every doubt was kindling for the fire. That's how I kept going. That's how I kept rising. Not by avoiding failure, but by embracing it, owning. So when they doubt you, good. When they laugh, good. When they call you a loser, when they whisper behind your back, when they hope you'll fall, good. That means you're in the arena. That means you're swinging. That means you're alive. Because champions aren't born on easy roads. They're forged in fire and noise and pressure. They're made by walking through storms with their heads high, refusing to bow, refusing to quit. And when you finally stand there, battered, scarred, but unbroken, you'll understand what I mean. Their words never defined you. Their judgment never built you. Their doubt never shaped you. It was always you, your sweat, your pain, your persistence, your heart. So carry this with you. When the world says you can't, let your soul scream back, watch me. When they say you're finished, remind them you're just getting started. When they call you a loser, prove that losing was the lesson that made you unstoppable. And when the dust clears, when the scoreboard shines, when victory is yours, don't thank them, don't even look at them. Just whisper with a smile they'll never forget. To hell with them. Let me leave you with this. Life is not a popularity contest. It's not about being liked. It's not about being understood. It's about standing tall in who you are, even when the world tries to tear you down. I know what it's like to have the odds against you. To walk into a gym and hear people whisper, he's not good enough. I know what it's like to be cut from the team. I know what it's like to sit in the locker room after missing the shot that could have won it all. And I know what it's like to carry the weight of every eye, every critic, every voice praying for me to fail. But I also know this. I never let them write my story. I never handed them the pen. My failures, my struggles, my scars, they belong to me. And I turned every one of them into fuel. You see, when people doubt you, they think they're hurting you, but they're doing the opposite. They're sharpening you. They're testing you. They're forcing you to find that deeper level, that untouchable core, that nothing and no one can break. And once you find that, you're free from needing their approval, free from chasing their applause, free from living by their rules. That's why I say to hell with them. Not out of anger, not out of bitterness, but out of freedom, because I refuse to let their fear dictate my future. I refuse to let their limits define my ceiling. I refuse to let their doubt drown out my belief. So I kept pushing, I kept grinding, I kept walking onto that court like I had something to prove, not to them, but to myself. Every shot, every drill, every sleepless night, every comeback, that was me saying, I will not be broken. And here's the secret. You don't have to be Michael Jordan to live this way. You don't need trophies, rings, or headlines. What you need is a decision to stop living by their voices and start living by your own. A decision to take their doubt and turn it into drive. A decision to stop asking for permission and start creating your own destiny. So tomorrow when you wake up and those voices come back, when they tell you you're not enough, when they laugh at your dream, when they wait for you to quit, look in the mirror and smile, because you know the truth. You know that failure is fuel, that doubt is fire, that hate is noise, and that nothing can stop a person who refuses to stop themselves. So walk forward with that power, work harder, push deeper, rise higher. And when you get where you're going, and you will, don't waste time proving them wrong. Prove yourself right. And when the dust settles, when the story is written, when the victory is undeniable, let your heart whisper the words that carried you through it all. To hell with them. You know my name, you've seen the highlights, the dunks, the trophies, the championships. People look at the end result and call it greatness. But let me tell you the truth, greatness is built on failure. I didn't become who I am because I always won. I became Michael Jordan because I lost over and over again. I missed game-winning shots. I failed to deliver when people were counting on me. I've been trusted with the ball in my hands, and I walked off the court in silence, knowing I let my team down. Do you think that didn't burn inside me? Do you think I didn't feel the weight of disappointment? Every time I walked back to that locker room after a loss, I carried the shame, the anger, the frustration. I replayed every mistake in my head until it haunted me at night. I wasn't born a champion. I had to be forged in the fire of failure. See, people love to celebrate the rings, the MVP titles, the banners hanging in the rafters, but none of that exists without the nights I walked home broken, humiliated, ready to quit. When I was cut from my high school team, that wasn't the end. That was the beginning. When I missed that free throw, when I shot 6 for 30, when I lost a playoff series that everyone expected me to win, that wasn't the end. That was fuel. You think failure defines you? Only if you let it. For me, failure was the hammer that shaped my steel. Every loss carved something inside me. Every mistake forced me to come back sharper, hungrier, more relentless. The truth is, I became obsessed with never letting the same mistake beat me twice. Obsessed with practicing longer than anyone else. Obsessed with turning weakness into strength. And here's the secret. The more I failed, the stronger I became. Because I wasn't afraid of it. I embraced it. I looked failure in the face and said, "You won't stop me, you'll teach me." So don't look at my career and think it was a straight line to the top. It wasn't. It was a staircase of failures, one after another, that I climbed until I stood on the summit. I lost again and again, and that's exactly why I won. People think the hardest battles happen on the court. They don't. The hardest battles happen in your mind. When the world doubts you, when you doubt yourself. I've stood at the free throw line with millions watching, but the loudest voices weren't in the arena. They were in my head. You're not good enough. You're gonna miss. You'll choke again. That's the war nobody sees, the one that starts inside. I was expected to be perfect. Every night, every game, reporters waiting to tear me down, fans ready to judge every shot, teammates depending on me to deliver. You think that pressure is easy? You think greatness is glamorous? No, greatness is heavy. It crushes you if you're not strong enough to carry it. And there were nights when I wasn't strong enough. Nights when I went home and stared at the ceiling asking myself, can I keep doing this? Can I take another loss, another failure? I doubted, I feared, I broke. But here's the thing, you don't grow in comfort. You grow in pain. When the critics laughed, when the newspapers wrote I couldn't win without a team, when people said I wasn't clutch, that cut me deeper than any defender ever could. But instead of running from it, I bled with it. I let the pain remind me that I was alive, that I had more to give. Losing taught me something. Winning never could. It taught me humility. It taught me hunger. It taught me that the world doesn't hand you respect. You take it one play at a time, one fight at a time. I remember walking into empty gyms long after practice was over. Everyone else went home. But I stayed. I stayed because I couldn't accept being average. I stayed because failure had scarred me so deeply that I refused to let it be the final word. That's what failure does. If you let it, it either breaks you or it builds you. And I chose to let it build me. So when you see the highlights, when you see me flying through the air, don't just see the glory, see the scars, see the nights of doubt, the anger, the endless hours when no one believed in me but me. I lost again and again, and every loss carried me one step closer to becoming unstoppable. Failure gave me two choices, stay down or rise. And every time I hit the floor, I chose to rise. Not because it was easy, but because I refused to live with regret. You see, losing wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of my evolution. Each defeat was a mirror, showing me who I really was, not the superstar, not the image people worship, but the man underneath. And the man underneath had to decide, are you going to let this moment define you, or are you going to redefine yourself? I chose to redefine myself. When I missed shots in the clutch, I went back and shot them 1,000 times in practice. When I got beaten physically, I built my body until no one could overpower me. When teams broke my spirit in the playoffs, I rebuilt it piece by piece until my will was unshakable. I wasn't chasing perfection, I was chasing progress. Perfection is an illusion. Progress is a decision you make every single day. Every bruise, every failure, every sleepless night, they were my training ground. My mistakes weren't a curse, they were my teachers. And every lesson carved me into something harder, sharper, stronger. Greatness isn't talent. Talent can take you to the door. But obsession opens it. And I was obsessed with proving that every failure, every doubt, every scar was worth something. I turned my losses into fire. I turned my doubts into discipline. I turned every voice that said you can't into fuel that screamed inside me, watch me. That's why when the moment came, when the game was on the line and the world held its breath, I wanted the ball, not because I was guaranteed to succeed, but because I had failed so many times before that I wasn't afraid of failing again. And that's the secret. You can't beat the man who's not afraid to lose. You can't break the man who's been broken 100 times and still rises. I didn't run from failure. I ran toward it. I shook its hand. I made it my partner. And together, we built the legend you see today. So if you ask me what made me great, I'll tell you the truth, not the trophies, not the highlights, not the applause. What made me great was losing again and again, and refusing to stay down. So here's the truth. My story isn't about basketball. It's about life. And life will beat you down harder than any opponent ever could. It will embarrass you, humble you, strip you of everything you thought you had. But when that happens, when you lose, when you fail, when the world points its finger at you and says you're done, that's the moment you get to decide who you really are. I lost again and again, but I refused to accept that as the end. Every failure became a step. Every step became momentum, and momentum became greatness. Listen to me, failure is not your enemy. Comfort is, fear is, quitting is, failure is the greatest ally you will ever have if you learn to use it. You want to be great, then you better be ready to suffer, to bleed, to lose sleep, to fall on your face and stand back up with fire in your eyes. Because greatness doesn't live in the highlight reels. It lives in the shadows, where nobody's watching, where it's just you, your demons, and your decision to keep going. That's what I want you to remember. Not the championships, not the rings. Remember the man who missed. Remember the man who fell short. Remember the man who failed over and over and refused to give up. Because that's not just my story, that's your story too. You're gonna lose, you're gonna fail, people are gonna doubt you, laugh at you, call you crazy, good, let them. That's fuel. That's the spark that can either burn you down or ignite you. The difference between the ones who make it and the ones who don't. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not gifts, it's resilience. It's the refusal to quit. It's the decision to rise one more time than you fall. So the next time you fail, don't hide from it, don't run from it. Look it in the eye and say, thank you, you just made me stronger. I'm not here to tell you that you'll never lose. I'm here to tell you that if you keep going, if you refuse to let failure define you, one day people will look at you the way they looked at me and they'll only see the greatness. They won't see the scars, but you'll know what it took. And when that day comes, you'll stand tall, not because you never lost, but because you lost again and again and you never surrendered. Let me tell you something straight. It's going to be hard. Not sometimes, not occasionally, always. Life doesn't play fair. It doesn't give you what you want just because you dream about it. It tests you, it breaks you, it throws obstacles in your path that you never saw coming. And if you think success comes easy, if you think it's smooth, clean, and perfect, you're in for a rude awakening. Because the truth is, every path worth walking will challenge you more than you ever thought you could endure. I know because I've lived it. When people see me, they see the highlights, the trophies, the championships, the moments that define an era. But what they don't see are the countless times life slapped me in the face. They don't see the pain, the heartbreak, the doubt. There were days when nothing went right. Days when my body was screaming, when my mind was exhausted, when I questioned if I could keep going. Life didn't care about my goals, my dreams, or my name. Life tested me anyway. But here's what I learned. Difficulty is not the enemy. Difficulty is the proof you're on the right path. If it's easy, it won't change you. If it's easy, it won't shape you into the person you're meant to become. I was cut from my high school team. That moment crushed me. It felt like the world telling me you're not good enough. But instead of letting it end me, I let it fuel me. I went back into the gym. I worked harder than ever before. Because I knew if life was going to make it this difficult, I had to become stronger than the difficulty itself. And let me tell you something, it never got easier. Every new level brought a new struggle. Every victory carried new expectations, new pressure, new weight. But instead of running from it, I embraced it because the struggle meant I was alive. The struggle meant I was growing. So hear me now. Life is going to challenge you. It's going to push you to the breaking point. It's going to surprise you with pain, loss, and failure. And in those moments when you're standing on the edge, ready to give up, that's when you have to believe in yourself more than ever. It will be hard, harder than you think. But if you keep going, if you refuse to quit, the same life that tried to break you will be the one that crowns you. Life doesn't warn you before it hits. It doesn't say, get ready, tomorrow will be hard. No, it blindsides you. It takes away people you love. It robs you of opportunities you thought were certain. It shakes your confidence when you need it most. And in those moments, you'll feel lost. I know because I've been there. I've felt the weight of failure pressing down on me. The critics saying he's done, he can't do it anymore. I've stared at the ceiling late at night, asking myself, do I still have it? Can I still fight? Or is this the moment I let go? The truth. Life doesn't care who you are. It doesn't matter if you're Michael Jordan or the kid no one knows. Life will test you all the same. But here's the difference. Some people let those moments define them, and others use those moments to redefine themselves. When I lost, when I broke down, when I doubted myself, I realized something important. The game wasn't just on the court. The real game was in my mind. Could I stay locked in when everything seemed lost? Could I believe in myself when no one else did? That's where greatness is born, not in the victories, but in the chaos, the uncertainty, the storms that try to drown you. And let me tell you, storms will come. Injury, betrayal, defeat, loneliness, all of it. You can't predict it. You can't control it. The only thing you can control is whether or not you keep walking forward when the ground is shaking beneath your feet. I kept walking even when I didn't know where the road was leading, even when I felt like I couldn't take another step, because I believed that beyond the struggle, beyond the pain, there was a version of me waiting, stronger, sharper, unstoppable. That's what life demands from you, to step forward, even when it's dark, to trust yourself, even when doubt screams louder than belief, to keep going, even when every part of you wants to quit. Yes, it will be hard, harder than you could imagine, but the same difficulty that feels like it's destroying you is the very thing building you. Remember that? Life isn't against you, life is shaping you, but only if you choose to stand tall in the storm. Every scar I carried, every wound I suffered, every failure I endured, they weren't signs of weakness. They were proof that I kept moving forward. Proof that no matter how hard life hit me, I refused to stay down. That's the secret. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not some gift you're born with. It's the choice you make every single day. Am I going to let this break me, or am I going to rise from it? I rose. When my body was sore, I pushed through another rep. When my mind was tired, I stayed in the gym a little longer. When the critics said I couldn't, I turned their doubt into fuel. I didn't silence the voices around me by arguing. I silenced them by working, by grinding, by showing up again and again until they had nothing left to say. Because here's the truth, nobody can believe for you. Nobody can carry you through the storm. Nobody can walk that road but you. And that's why believing in yourself is not optional. It's everything. See, faith in yourself is not some cliche, it's survival. Without it, you'll quit at the first sign of struggle. Without it, you'll give up when life throws the unexpected at you. Without it, you'll live your whole life waiting for someone else to save you. But when you believe in yourself, truly, deeply, relentlessly, there's nothing life can throw at you that you can't endure. Because you stop asking, why me? And you start saying, try me. That's what I did. I stopped seeing obstacles as punishments. I started seeing them as tests. Every injury, every loss, every night of doubt was life asking me a question. How bad do you really want it? And my answer was always the same. More than anything, that mindset changed everything. Because the truth is, pain is temporary. Struggle is temporary. But quitting is forever. And I refused to live with that. So when life hit me, I didn't run. I stood tall. I looked it in the eye. I said, you can throw whatever you want at me. I will bend, but I will not break. I will fall, but I will rise again. And that's why I stand here today, not because life was easy, but because I chose to be harder than life itself. So let me leave you with this. Life will not hand you victories. It will not hand you success. It will not hand you peace. If you want something, you're gonna have to fight for it every single day. It will be hard, harder than you ever imagined. People will doubt you. People will walk away from you. You will lose, you will hurt, you will question everything. That's life, that's the reality. But here's the choice. You can surrender or you can rise. You can let the struggle bury you or you can use it to climb higher. I am not Michael Jordan because everything came easy. I am Michael Jordan because when everything got hard, when the world said I couldn't, I kept going anyway. That's what greatness is, not perfection, not never falling. Greatness is falling 1,000 times and standing up 1,001. And that's the same power you have inside you. Don't tell me you can't. Don't tell me it's too much. Don't tell me life is too hard. Of course it's hard. That's the point. The struggle is what makes you strong enough to carry your own greatness. So when life knocks you down, when the weight feels unbearable, when you stand in the dark and the path ahead looks impossible, remember my words. It's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, it wouldn't be worth it. You have more inside you than you know. More strength, more fight, more resilience. But you'll never see it if you quit. You'll only find it if you keep moving forward, when every part of you screams to stop. I promise you this, the same life that tests you, that pushes you to your limits, will reward you if you refuse to surrender. So keep walking, keep believing, keep fighting, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Life is hard, it always will be, but you are harder. And when you realize that, when you finally understand that the struggle isn't your enemy, but your greatest teacher, nothing, and I mean nothing, will ever stop you. Look at me, now look closer. Don't be fooled by the jersey, the rings, the highlights. The real opponent I learned to fear wasn't standing across the court. He was standing right in front of me every single morning in the mirror. People love to talk about rivals, about teams, about who blocked your shot or stole your moment. They point to faces, to names, to opponents with jerseys and numbers. But the deadliest adversary has no number. He wears your face. He speaks in your voice. He shows up late at night when the lights go out and says things like, "You're tired, you did enough." He whispers, "Tomorrow will do." He convinces you that comfort is victory. That voice is the enemy. I fought guys who wanted my spot. I fought defenses that tried to break me. I fought pain and fatigue. But the hardest rounds were the ones I fought with myself, the rounds that started before sunrise, when the alarm screams and every part of you wants to stay under the covers. The hardest rounds were the times I wanted to quit and found reasons to justify it. You ever stand in the gym at 5 a.m. when the world is asleep? The ball slaps the hardwood. The echo answers nothing. That silence is dangerous. It gives room for that other voice to come alive. You're done. You're not the same. If you listen, if you agree even once, that voice recruits excuses. It builds a fortress out of small compromises. One skipped workout, one shorter practice, 1 minute less of effort, until suddenly you don't even recognize the person in the mirror. Here's what I learned. Your enemy doesn't need to sprint at you with teeth bared. He only needs to sit quietly inside your head and make you slow down. He doesn't have to beat you in the open. He just has to make you indifferent. When I lost my edge, it wasn't because someone outplayed me. It was because I let complacency become comfortable. It was because I allowed the mirror to tell me stories that weren't true. And when that happened, every defender looked bigger, every shot looked harder, every challenge looked heavier. So if you want to find your real enemy, stop blaming the crowd, the coach, the schedule. Stop pointing to the man on the other team. Look at yourself. Look at how often you settle. Look at how many times you choose ease over excellence. That's where the fight begins. I made a habit of turning toward that mirror, not away from it. I stared down the part of me that wanted sleep more than work, the part that wanted applause more than sacrifice. I learned to train my mind like I trained my body, relentless, precise, unforgiving. Because until you beat the man in the mirror, every victory you think you've earned will be borrowed. It won't belong to you. You know what makes the enemy so dangerous? He doesn't attack you head on. He seduces you. He makes comfort look like a reward. He makes quitting sound reasonable. He says, you've worked hard enough, you deserve a break. He says, why push harder? Nobody's watching anyway. He says, what difference does one missed workout make? And if you listen long enough, those whispers become rules. They turn into your new standard. And without realizing it, you've surrendered your edge. I had nights when I wanted to skip the gym, mornings when I hated the sound of that alarm. I had practices where every muscle screamed at me to stop. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I did stop, sometimes I gave in. And every single time the man in the mirror grew stronger. Every time I listened to him, he stole a piece of me. But here's the truth, life doesn't care about your excuses. The scoreboard doesn't ask how tired you were. The rim doesn't lower itself because you didn't sleep well. The world keeps moving, and if you're not moving with it, you're falling behind. That's why I had to learn to fight back, to shut that voice down, to remind myself that the enemy in the mirror is clever but not unbeatable. You beat him with action, not words, not promises, action. When that voice told me to stay in bed, I stood up faster. When it told me to rest, I pushed harder. When it said tomorrow, I answered today. I refused to negotiate with weakness, because once you start negotiating with your own excuses, you've already lost. I treated every day like it was a game 7, because if you can't win against yourself in practice, how do you expect to win when the lights are on and the world is watching? I'm telling you, the greatest victories of my career didn't come in arenas packed with fans. They came in empty gyms. They came in the sweat nobody saw. They came when I dragged myself through another drill after my body begged me to quit. And you know what happened? Slowly, the man in the mirror started to change. He stopped being the enemy. He became the reminder, the challenge, the standard. Because once you've beaten him enough times, he starts working for you instead of against you, but only if you're relentless, only if you're willing to suffer through the moments when no one is watching. The mirror doesn't lie. It shows you exactly who you are. The question is, do you like what you see, or are you going to keep letting the enemy inside win the battle you were born to fight? There came a point in my life when I stopped asking, why is this so hard? And started asking, how do I get stronger? Because the enemy doesn't disappear, he evolves. He waits for you in new forms. Doubt, fear, fatigue, failure. You can't run from him. You can only learn to use him. When I missed shots, when I lost games, when the world said I wasn't good enough, that enemy inside tried to turn those moments into scars. He wanted me to believe failure was permanent. But I flipped the script. Every miss became a lesson. Every failure became a spark. Every doubt was gasoline on my fire. See, pain doesn't have to be your prison. It can be your fuel. The enemy wants you to run from discomfort, to hide from struggle. But struggle is the forge. Struggle is where identity is built. The greatest version of yourself is shaped in the fire you're afraid to step into. I remember games where my legs were heavy, my lungs burned, and my body screamed. That's when the enemy whispered, you're done, let go. But in that exact moment, I realized if I keep going right here, if I push through right now, I'm not just beating the opponent in front of me, I'm beating the voice inside, and that win is worth more than any scoreboard. The truth is, most people lose long before the game even starts. They lose in the decisions they make when no one's watching. They lose by letting comfort dictate their limits. They lose to the mirror, but if you flip it, if you use the mirror as your battleground, your training ground, then when you step into the real fight, nothing can touch you, because you've already gone to war with the hardest opponent you'll ever face, yourself. That's why I say the enemy is not out there. He's in here. And once you realize that, the game changes. You stop fearing failure. You stop begging for easy. You start demanding challenge. You start chasing the moments that break other people, because you know those are the moments that build you. I didn't chase trophies, I chased growth. I chased a chance to confront myself, to find out just how much further I could go. And every time I pushed past that enemy inside, I became something more, stronger, sharper, hungrier. So don't run from the enemy, don't wish him away, face him, fight him. And when you do, you'll discover the truth that he was never there to destroy you, he was there to reveal you. So hear me now, the greatest enemy you will ever face is the one staring back at you every morning. Not your boss, not your rivals, not the critics who doubt you. It's you, it's the comfort you cling to, the excuses you defend, the fear you hide behind. That's the battlefield, that's the war. And here's the truth, you don't get to escape it. Every single day you'll wake up and walk into that fight. Some days you'll win, some days you'll lose, but if you want greatness, if you want to see how far you can really go, you don't get to hide from it. You don't get to skip the mirror. You want success? Then stop lying to yourself. Stop protecting your weaknesses like they're treasures. Stop excusing laziness with pretty words like balance or self-care. You already know the difference between real recovery and plain comfort. One builds you, the other destroys you. I didn't become who I am because I was born with some special gift. I became who I am because I decided over and over again to step into that fight, to stare into the mirror and say, you will not beat me today. You want to know the secret to greatness? It's not talent, it's not luck, it's discipline, it's obsession. It's the refusal to give the enemy inside a single inch. I'll tell you something, every championship I ever won, every shot I ever hit, every record they talk about, none of it means more than the battles I won when no one was watching. The mornings I didn't quit, the nights I didn't fold, the moments I stood face to face with my own doubt and said, no, not today. That's the victory. And I'm proud of stuff because that's the only victory that truly lasts. So if you're listening right now, if you're tired, if you're doubting, if you're wondering whether you've got what it takes, stop looking out there for the answer. Stop waiting for someone else to validate you. Go stand in front of a mirror, look yourself in the eye, ask the question, am I willing to go to war with this person? Am I willing to outwork, outlast, outfight the version of me that wants to quit? Because if the answer is yes, if you're willing to fight that battle, then I promise you there's not a man, not a woman, not a circumstance on this earth that can stop you. The enemy in the mirror is real, but so is the warrior, and the warrior is you. So tomorrow morning when the alarm goes off, when your body aches, when your mind whispers, not today, you know what to do. Stand tall, look in the mirror, and win.